She's a fashion blogger, model, and entrepreneur.
She's amazing.
The latest tips on fashion, beauty, wellness, travel, and her lifestyle. And now, here's the founder and creator of Not Basic Blonde, Olasha.
Hi, Amelia. I'm so glad to have you on my podcast. How are you today?
I am wonderful, and I'm so excited too. And we're so near each other as well. So it's like I can feel your energy from here.
Yeah, I know. I'm so glad we met through mutual friend, and we became friends too. And I'm so glad you're in Atlanta as well. It's so hard to find like-minded people here.
Absolutely. And I'm sure the audience can see it's like me and you are like having the same iridescent vibe going on. Like your earrings are like matching all of the sparkles. It's perfect.
Yeah, so of course you have such an amazing background and you're being a healer and a guru. We would love to learn more about you and how did you become who you are today and how did you go through awakening, and tell us more.
Okay, so I'll break it into sections because it's quite a interesting and in-depth story. So back in my early 20s, I was the top socialite in London. I was partying with Ja Rule and Ashanti and hanging out and having, limousines and all sorts of crazy socialite champagne life. And I then got very sick. I now know it was because I wasn't looking after myself. My self-love and my self-care wasn't very good. I was just having a hell of a lot of fun. And so I got unwell. And not only did I get unwell, it actually lasted for a period of 4 years. And so during this 4 years, I was in agony. I had multiple issues going on, a lot of it to do with medical negligence. And it took 6 hours of surgery to put my organs back where they were supposed to be. It took IV antibiotics to the extent where they said I may go deaf and my skin turned yellow. I really went through it, nearly died a few times. So it was super intense. During this 4 years though, I read 1,000 books because I realized no one was going to fix me except for me. And I needed to figure out whether the problem was physical, whether it was dietary, whether it was mental, whether it was emotional. So I started studying everything. I was literally studying everything. I studied acupuncture, I studied naturopathy, I studied psychology and so many things. And I obviously did some good because by the end of the 4-year period, I started to hear God. I started to hear an intuitive, clear voice. And it said to me that there was a particular antibiotic that if I took it, after having had all my surgeries and everything, that I would be okay. And so I told the doctor what this one was, and he laughed because he'd nearly risked his medical license. This was one of the most senior doctors in the UK to try and make me well, to try and give me what I needed. And when I asked for this really simple, very simple prescription antibiotic, he was like, my gosh, he said, if that does the job, that would be like a miracle. And yes, no problem at all. I'll write you up for as many years of it as you want. And so I took it and I started to feel better. So I returned to America and returned to my music career because I was actually now a rapper. The plot thickens from rapper to guru. So I came out to America. I was recording at Neo Studio, 50 Cent Studio. I recorded with Lil Wayne. I spoke with Lil Wayne's business partner, Mac Main, about signing with them just before Nicki Minaj was released. So I really did it. There's people that are like, hey, I wanted to be a rapper. No, I really actually recorded a lot of music. I was managed by Brian Michael Cox, who worked with most of the biggest R&B singers that have ever lived, and he was my manager. So I did this music career thing. Anyway, so we've got this section of me doing this learning while I was in agony. Then we have me going back into this fun world. Then I had a romantic experience that taught me so much. Basically, I had almost like the fairy tale. I know you look literally like a Princess Barbie fairy tale lady yourself, but it was literally the fairy tale. I had the most amazing man in the world come in, offer me the whole world, and I turned it down and I messed it up for no reason. He did nothing wrong. I won't say his name, but he's very famous. And basically, he did nothing wrong. People would assume if they knew his name that he must have done something wrong. No, it was all me. I completely effed up the whole thing. And so once I'd successfully messed it up, I sat there in my house in London and was like, okay, There is something inside of me that doesn't want me to be happy. There is something inside of me that's making me make bad decisions. There is something inside of me that's self-sabotaging. And do you swear on your podcast, darling? You do?
You can.
You can? Okay, just checking. Just checking because I have a bit of a bad mouth. But yeah, so basically I figured that there was this thing inside of me that was my enemy. And I needed to figure out what it was, where it came from, and how the fuck to get rid of it. Because I knew there was something there. And so because of my previous studies, I went into study mode again. I'd also had some more medical stuff come up because the medical stuff came up again in 2009 and 2011, ovarian cysts bursting, kidney infections, all the things. Anyway, so I then studied for 2 years. And during that 2 years, I studied the darkness. It was scary. I didn't study it because I was trying to do something bad. I was trying to figure out what this thing was inside of me, which I knew was also inside of everybody else. And I was trying to figure out what it was. So I studied the darkness all the way to the end, which is where I learned a lot of the stuff that people call conspiracy now as well, because I went all the way to know how bad it gets here on this planet and who the worst people are and what the worst things they do are. And I learned it all. And I did used to have nightmares. And I did used to have to start watching, like, you know, kids movies for an hour before bed just to try and like recover from what I just exposed myself to. Anyway, once I completed and I understood the dark, I then studied the light all the way to I was like, right, I'm going to keep going until I get to heaven. Like, I'm literally going all the way. Like, let's do this. And I studied every aspect of healing and how the light works and what the light is and what God is. And this was not from a religious standpoint. I'm from England. In England, people of my generation, the generation above and a couple of generations below, we don't go to church. We might go on Christmas Eve. Like, we don't know anything about religion in England. It's just the fact little old ladies walk to church. You see them going to church, but no one in my generation or yours goes. So I'm studying just the light, the good, the God, whatever this good thing is that I know is down here. And eventually, between 2009 and 2011, I reached a state that's called enlightenment. Now, a lot of people associate enlightenment with Buddhism. Now, the Buddha was an ascended master. He reached enlightenment. But true enlightenment really means gaining mastery of your mind, so that when you hear voices and hear thoughts and hear emotions, you're able to process them as an observer, as opposed to being tricked into thinking that it's you. Because in fact, within your mind, you have literally an angel and a devil. You have your higher self, which is your connection to God, to good, to the creator. And you also have the ego, the shadow, the self-sabotage, the, what was the word you said to me when you were talking? Was it like inner critic, imposter syndrome? Yes, all those things. That's this dark side. And so within humanity, there are two navigation systems running at the same time. The problem is the higher self that's trying to lead you to the most wonderful life is very quiet and it has a gentle voice. The one on this side has a very loud voice and it changes its mind and it keeps showing you pictures of things, memories, fears for the future, regrets from the past to try and get emotions. And this thing feeds on negative emotions. So I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I basically started figuring all this stuff out and I did the work on myself. And so I reached a place where my head became silent and the only voice I heard was God's. And I felt peace. And I felt happiness. And I didn't have to wake up and say, I'm going to have a positive day. I'm going to think positive thoughts. I'm going to say my positive affirmations. I didn't need to do any of that anymore. I was just the walking embodiment of happiness. And I realized that humans are meant to be happy. We just need to shower off all the crud of our childhood traumas, generational traumas, spiritual warfare, all the stuff. You just got to clear all that stuff out. And then you at base are happy and clear and good. So does that kind of give you an idea of where I got to at least to 2011? Oh
yeah, it does a clear idea. And I'm like speechless because your story is tremendous. And you went through so many different challenges and you learned from those challenges and you actually overcame it all and became who you are today. And also, before meeting you, I thought that imposter syndrome is just imposter syndrome, but actually you cleared out to me that it's ego in our heads that is preventing us from starting something. And before I thought it was just like procrastination or just imposter syndrome, like I said, but I'm glad you actually clarified that for me and taught me that now I can work on it, taming it. And so it leads to my next question, like, how do we tame our ego? Because it gets in the way of our success a lot.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So the way to tame it, it's like a triangle. It's three things. So the very first thing is forgiveness, but forgiveness is the most misunderstood word in the English language. The second most misunderstood word is the word meek. You know how in the Bible it says the world will be inherited by the meek, and people think meek means weak. Meek means good. So the world will be inherited by the good. So that's the second most, but the first most misunderstood is forgiveness, because forgiveness does not mean what they did was okay. Forgiveness does not mean you tell them that they're forgiven. Forgiveness does not mean you're letting them off the hook. And forgiveness does not mean that you have to reconcile with this person and ever speak with them ever again for the rest of your life. Forgiveness is simply releasing yourself of the emotions, because this navigation system that's trying to take you off a cliff, quite literally, this one's trying to take you to the best things ever. This one's trying to take you off the cliff with you as the driver. This one, it feeds on negative emotions. So when you go through your past and you clear out those deep wounds, the mother wounds, the father wounds, siblings, stepfathers, stepmothers, when you clear this stuff out, it doesn't have any food. It's like a real entity. And I know that's hard for some people to hear. And, especially if people go on my Instagram, I talk very advanced on my Instagram, because a lot of those people have been following me for a long time. They're used to it, me talking about these types of things, but it's an actual entity. It has the same IQ as you, and it's self-protective, which is why a lot of people say to themselves, oh, I want to come and do Amelia's program. And then they go to do it and something stops them. Oh, well, maybe you should wait till next week. Oh, well, maybe it's just not the right time. Oh, well. And they don't realize it's the ego trying to protect itself, because the ego is like, fuck, if she does that, I'm done for. Because we don't kill it. Anyone that talks about having killed their ego, please avoid that person like the plague. That is somebody that's very much in ego, and their ego is in control of them. That's an important thing to know. So you cannot kill the ego, but you can put it to sleep. You can inject some anesthesia. You can starve it so it kind of passes out in the corner. It's like everyone in humanity is within a wrestling ring, and they have themselves and they have their ego, and they're equally matched. This ego has the same intelligence. It knows everything that bully at school said. It knows everything your mum said to put you down. It knows everything that your dad did. It knows every mistake you've made. It knows everything that you feel guilt and shame about. It knows everything, and it uses it. So you have these two people having a boxing match, and this is humanity. This is the human condition. Every person you see out there has these two boxers. Well, when you do this really deep, intensive, painful forgiveness work, because it's painful, isn't it, darling? My program is not fun. You don't do it for giggles. It's not shit.
Oh, yeah. So just to give you feedback and kind of background to my listeners, I'm still in the process of Amelia's program, and one of the parts of it requires forgiveness part. So you have to forgive people on your list, and you have to do forgiveness meditation for like 3 days each for each one. But the hardest part is, I'm the kind of person, I don't really hold grudges, and I try to forgive everyone who even hurts me, and I wish them well. I always wish them health, wealth, and everything. But the thing is, when you start doing the forgiveness meditation, oh my God, it's really hard, because
it comes up.
It's like, I guess your ego stands in the way, and I guess it's preventing you from that. But it's just like, if this person hurt you really bad, how can you forgive them?
Yes.
Well, but you have to forgive yourself. You have to free yourself up from this.
Absolutely. So the thing is that's what we specialize in, is we help people to forgive the unforgivable. And again, I don't want to scare any of your audience, but we've had clients, that have been in situations where they've had partners that have tried to kill them. We've had women whose mothers have tried to kill them. We've had people that have had rape and sexual abuse and incest and all sorts of dreadful, dreadful things. So just know. But again, when you go back and you have to almost rewind, remember what I said about forgiveness. We're not saying it's okay. We're not letting them off the hook. We're not letting them know they're forgiven, and we're not reconnecting. We're doing this for us. You're doing this because you love you. And once you're able to release those people, and we help people to do it, there is a technique that I downloaded. Like I said, I hear God, and he showed me how to do it for myself. And so I've been able to help actually thousands of women around the world to do this. And there is ways that we can help you. And it's normal to feel a block. It's normal to hit a brick wall when you're in the program, be like, I need help. We're like, good, okay, which means we're getting to the good bit. We're getting to the good bit. Once we clear this, now it's going to be like easy sailing after that. We want you to hit a brick wall, because that brick wall shows us that was your ego's favorite food. So you were saying, how do you get rid of the ego? So the first thing you do is you starve it of its food, which is the emotional trauma that it tries to flash up to create an emotion within you, a memory. A lot of the time, there's things that are subconscious as well. So it's very subtle, it's very sneaky. And again, if you're intelligent, and I have a feeling a lot of the people that watch you are very intelligent, I need you to understand this is quite an enemy. I'm a very intelligent woman. My ego was a real MF, okay? So it was not a nice thing. So when I battled and beat mine, I knew I could help anyone to beat theirs. So back to this triangle shape. So basically, if you imagine the top is forgiveness. The next thing though is you need education, because you need to know what you're dealing with. And you need to keep re-educating and remembering and restudying on a continual basis, because even clients that have been with me a year, when they start, if they have a difficult time or if there's something wrong, the very first thing I say is go back to lesson 1. What did we teach you in lesson 1? Because they start forgetting what they learned in lesson 1, which was the education about what this thing is, what its goal is, how it works, why it works. And it reminds them, has anything happened that they need to forgive? Have they given it some food? But also, please remember, if you're tired, sick, hungry, in pain, or chronically ill, your ego has a lot more control over you. It's winning the boxing match. So it's your job through self-love to ensure that you're not tired, sick, hungry, low blood sugar, in pain, or hungry, because you are giving this internal battle, this boxing match, you're giving the opponent the advantage when you are in a weakened state. And you're also to be forgive yourself if you make mistakes or do something when you are in that state, because it's not your fault. You were overtaken by it because you were in a weakened state. So now the third point of the triangle is community. So let's imagine yourself being a perfect example. Let's imagine, you've only just started the program. She's in the tough part at the moment. So this is the part where when I talk to a client, I'm like, how are you? And they're like, I'm like, yeah, I know, it gets better. You guys will see in the weeks to come, especially we'll do some lives together and stuff, and you'll see this girl will start to literally whoa, she will be she's happy and gorgeous and glowing now. It's gonna go on 11 soon. But you need community, you see, because if you raise in frequency and everyone else around you is still the same, they're actually going to fight to bring you back down. Because if you rise and they don't rise, then you're now making them face their own shit, and they don't like it, so they want to bring you back down. So first of all, everybody in your life is going to try and keep you down. So it's really important for you to have friends that are high frequency, that you have contact with, that you can see in person, that you can talk to, that you can share with, because as you rise in frequency, you need people that are of the same frequency, or even better, a higher frequency of where you are, because otherwise it's very easy to get pulled back down. Because you stop, I'm going to tell you a joke. And I hate Facebook. I'm not a Facebook person. But there was this thing on Facebook where somebody showed me, and it was some chat group for women, female entrepreneurs. And it said, describe your job in the worst way possible. I'd love to know your answer to this. So describe your job in the worst way possible. And so what I said is, I take women specifically, I take women to such an advanced level of happiness, peace, and clarity that they are isolated from the rest of the world. And that's what I mean, because they're so high. But you see, I now have the solution, because I have so many clients that I introduce them. I have maintenance programs. We have conference calls once a week. They go on holiday together. They meet up, they hang out. they go to the spa together, all the things. And so because of this, it's not possible for them to be brought back down. And so, yeah, so I don't know if you want to do that today, but it's something to think about. It's like a funny thing, like describing your job in the worst possible way. Like, you know?
I'm trying to think about mine because I do so many different things, and I'm trying to see like how would I even describe it.
I think you should wait and think on it because you do so many things. But when you come across it, just tell me, because me and you can just text each other and giggle about it.
Yeah,
that's what I say. You know,
I noticed that I've been isolated for a long time. Like I have so many friends. I know so many people, like so many. But I only have very few close friends, and I don't really talk to anyone else because I feel like they don't even understand me fully. They're not on my level, I guess, as far as like spiritual work and just life's perspective, I guess.
Yeah, and there is a reason for that. There's a spiritual reason for that, and that's why it is a very much a spiritual alignment that we met in person. Because you see, what's happening is a lot of the brightest lights down here, we're actually lighting up grid points around the planet. So if you imagine the whole world having like a gridded net, we're each individual lights. And so that's the reason why we're all spread out. And a lot of us feel isolated because there's not a lot of people like us, but then we know a lot of people like us if we're doing the work and we're in mission, like me and you, we're doing what God's telling us to do. We're talking our truth and we're speaking and we're sharing and we're being honest and truthful about how we feel about things, and we're sharing what we learn. When you're in mission like that you meet other people, but they're on the other side of the world or the other side of the country because they're holding down grid points too. And so that's why we know something magical is about to happen, because we're now starting to have the meeting in physical. And so we know we're moving into a new space here on the planet. And it's something I'm being very much guided to do. I think this actual podcast will be released after that, but I'm organizing a special gathering event, a worldwide gathering event for the Sunday, 3rd of April. And what I'm asking people to do, I'm being guided to say it just in case this comes out before, and otherwise people will be able to reflect upon it. But basically, I'm asking people to gather in groups with friends and family and like-minded people, either in their garden, in a picnic, in the woods, anywhere, just gather so that you can literally love on each other and be with each other, bring food and eat, no drugs, no alcohol, and literally be in a celebration of life and nature and people and happiness. And I'm actually going to have like a special meditation, the one from the program, I Rest in God. And I'm going to ask everyone to do that together so that they all rest in God together. And then I have a little song that we're going to speak that calls in for world peace, specifically about the war in the Ukraine. So this is all going to be happening on April Sunday, the 3rd, just on the day before the 4/4 portal. So, so when I look at the pyramid, how do you put the ego to sleep? You need to starve it through forgiveness. You need real education, and you have to keep staying on top of your education, but then you need community. And when you have those three, it's like this perfect balance that then enables you to do more of your divine purpose, more of what you came down here to do, more of what you incarnated to do. And I make a joke about it. You get more God drugs, because the more you do what God has sent you down here to do, the happier and higher you feel. And you just like keep getting higher and higher and higher. And you meet more and more amazing people, and you have more and more amazing experiences just by being in service to others. But you mustn't be in service to others until you have serviced yourself first, until you have healed yourself, until your self-love is on 10, until your cup runneth over. If you're pouring from an empty cup or a quarter empty cup, that's not you may think you're being a nice person. You may think, oh, I'm just good to everyone, I just like everyone. No. Your cup has to be full, and you pour from the overflow. because otherwise what happens is you burn out and then you can give to nobody, and then everybody around you is used to you holding up the building, and then if you can't hold up the building collapses and everyone blames you. So you have to stay on top of self-love and self-care and take the time for yourself.
So true. I absolutely agree with you. And also our subconscious mind plays a huge role in our lives. And talking about our subconscious mind, how do we navigate it to get rid of some problems or to even cure some chronic pain?
Okay, so pain is an interesting one. My CEO, Alicia Bravo, who is your coach, and she, in my opinion, is the best coach on the planet. We coach hypnotherapists, we coach psychologists, we coach therapists, we coach triathlon champions, we coach cardiac surgeons, we coach some of the most advanced, high-functioning women on the planet. I do want to mention for the guys out there or anyone who checks out my Instagram and they're like, oh, it says women over 35. I want you to know we do take women under 25. They just need to be old souls that are sharp cookies like you. They need to be serious. They need to, this is no childish stuff. This is big grown-up shit. So if you're under 35, you have to be very serious and have your shit together and be mentally ready to do something that's difficult. And if you're a man, you can also still do the program. It's just when people book their free call, it actually asks, are you a woman under 35? Are you a man under 30? Are you a man who wants to work with us? Or are you a woman over 35? We just happen to specialize in women over 35. And we actually specialize in teachers, not teachers in schools, but I'm talking about the highest level teachers and healers and spiritual teachers on the planet. That's who we specialize in, because they need someone, and that someone is us. But that means that everybody else that comes to us, they're going to the right place, because we work with some of the most in tune, psychically aware, high IQ, in service to humanity, most incredible women you've ever seen in your life. That's my crew. So, but your question is more about subconscious. So the subconscious really is ego, strangely. You talk about the reptilian brain. So a lot of our decision making comes back to the and again, see, I've actually worked with psychologists and they find me really interesting because I'm not trained in their specific way. So I'm not locked in to, I created this myself. So I'm not locked in, but it means that because I'm free flowing, I can actually find real solutions. I've never had a teacher. I've never had a guru. I just had to figure this out. I'm just one of those people that just needs to figure things out sometimes. But with the subconscious, it's basically, it's holding your memories and it's guiding you, but really you're the silent observer and you're either hearing your higher self or your ego. More if you focus on the ego, because the subconscious does, it does affect you a lot, but I want people to understand it's really your past experiences creating your future.
Is it possible for us to heal ourselves? I know everyone can heal themselves, but if you're guided how to do it, because obviously if you don't know how, you will not be able to do it, but it's possible, correct?
It is. Now, what I do say is that your current frequency really impacts how your journey is going to go. So I have a thing when people book a call where they choose where their happiness level is 0 to 10. So I would say if someone's 0 to 3, they probably need to go to a therapist or a psychologist, because they're basically suicidal or, highly depressed. They may need medication. If someone's 0 to 3, that's really quite low. Okay. So that wouldn't be a fit for our work. Our work would trigger them to the point, God knows what would happen. Our work is deep. So then we have 4 to 5s. Now, 4 to 5s can do the program, but they really find it hard. It's like dragging a boulder up a hill. It's not impossible, but they can do it. Okay. So a 4 to 5, this is if on a scale of 0 being really sad, 10 being really happy. If you find yourself at a 4 to 5 right now, you can do the program. We will let you do the program, but we will expect you to find it difficult. We will expect you to have issues, like you may choose a program, because we have programs that range from $30,000 to $30. You may, if you're a 4 to 5, you may choose one that's higher than you can afford, and then you back out and then you change your mind, or you may book a call and then you come up with an excuse and you change your mind. 4 to 5s have to really stay focused and be very, very aware that they're really going into something serious that's going to change them, but it will change a 4 to 5's life forever. Then we have 6-7s. 6-7s are my favorite. 6-7s make up the majority of my clients. 6-7s are more positive than most of their circle. They're normally the person everyone comes to for help. They're normally the person that, you know, when they need help themselves, they don't know where to go because they're more positive than everyone else. So they kind of feel a bit isolated. They're typically family orientated, but also career minded. And they've normally reached a certain level of stability in their life or a level of success in their career. And they've normally started a tentative path towards spirituality, healing, Reiki, yoga, something to do with like working on their inner self. So this is a 6-7. 6-7s make up 90% or 95% of our clients. Then you have 8-9s. 8-9s are very special. 8-9s typically are already in mission. These are ones running hypnotherapy centers. These are ones that are, running schools for abused children. These are women that are in a very good place normally financially. Like they've managed to learn a lot about manifestation. Spiritually, they're very advanced, and they just have a little weeny bit of healing left, and they've gone everywhere to every guru and every teacher trying to get the answer, and no one's been able to find the answer for them. And then they see me on Instagram and they go, it's her, that's where I need to go. And then they come to me. Now, the 8-9s, 70% of the 8-9s come in and they are like a dream come true. But there's a 30% that, because they're already healers, they're already teachers, they already have their own followers, they already have their own clientele, sometimes a little birdie gets in their ear like, well, what are you doing? You're already a teacher. What can you learn from her? Why are you going there? And if they're not strong enough mentally, they then pull away and say, oh, I don't need it. When in fact, I'm the person that can heal 8-9s, and I'm one of the only people on the planet that can heal 8-9s, because we're getting you to 10. We're not doing like therapy where we're trying to bump you up one level. We're getting you to the end so that you can get into mission. You know, therapists are, you know, not to speak badly on them, because I just mentioned if you're a 1 to 3, that's where you should be going. But, you know, part of their training is to keep you in, you know, in appointments with them for 12 to 18 months. It's a business. It's a career. We're trying to get you in and out. We're trying to get you in and healed and out there in the world making a difference, because the more people here making a difference, the faster we can turn this world around. So I'm not trying to keep people with me for a long time. That doesn't mean we don't offer annual maintenance, that we don't have the weekly conferences and all that sort of stuff. But those women have finished their healing. They're now just hanging out, helping each other get through the ups and downs and bumps of life, having someone to chat with, you know, having the sisterhood and support network that we're supposed to have. You know, humans used to live in villages. We used to have our next door neighbors, and we would look after their kids and play with next door's dog, and, you know, and the neighbor across the road would help fix the roof. You know, humans are social creatures. We're meant to be in a community. And that is how we're going to create heaven on earth. We're going to heal ourselves. We're going to choose healthy relationships. We're going to come together and create healthy relationships. From those healthy relationships, we will produce healthy children. And those healthy children will grow up to become healthy adults. We'll create healthy communities, healthy villages, healthy cities, healthy countries, healthy world. This is how we do it. But it starts with everybody, you know, taking responsibility for their own bullshit and owning the bullshit. And knowing if they're still in victimhood, and, oh, well, if my mum had done this, and oh, my dad did this, and all this sort of stuff. A tip I'll give people is, before you complain about your childhood, take a good look at your parents' childhood and see whether your ego is making it out to be much better than it was. Because if you had a rough childhood, I guarantee theirs was probably 10 times worse, and they actually did a really good job, God bless them. It starts to change and shift your perspective when you're able to see, instead of looking at the perfect cookie cutter childhood and what were you missing, you actually start looking at the pain that your parent and their parent went through and how well they did to get you where you are right now. You know, and everyone watching this is pretty much probably in a very comfortable home with food on the table and clothes on their back and heating and AC, and is pretty comfortable. So their generation of ancestors did a good job because they're alive and well. Because some of our ancestors went through hell and back.
Oh, that's so true. I've had points in my life when I've had 2 to 3 therapists at the same time. And I didn't have major traumas or anything. I just had to conquer my anxiety and panic attacks, but no one could seem like find the actual root cause of the problem. And I have basically a lot of experience with different therapists.
Yeah.
Going into your program, and I'm saying that because that's what I really felt, not because of anything else. And I'm pretty straightforward and usually blunt. So your program actually gets it, like it does work you to the core. It gets to the real problems in your head and it kind of addresses it. So compared to regular therapy, it's very intensive and work.
But you can see how you have to be ready for it and you have to be determined. And I'm not saying it's fun. You don't come in and we just talk about fairies and unicorns and stroke your shoulder and say, oh, how are you? Are you okay? Boost your confidence. It's not like that. It's not like that. It's like spiritual surgery. Every human has darkness within them. We go and get it out. And what we get it all out because it has to live on something. It's an entity, you know? You talk about anxiety and panic attacks. Many of our clients have experienced those things, and those things do fall away after the program, as long as they do the maintenance, as long as they stay in the community, as long as they keep reading their lesson 1 information. And the reason why is a lot of anxiety is basically A, listening to the ego, or B, low blood sugar a lot of the time, unless you're one of those 1 to 3s, in which case you probably have a very severe mineral deficiency in your brain, and you probably need to go to therapy and have medication. And I'm not a doctor, so I'm not claiming to be a doctor. I'm just saying, if you're having anything serious happen, you may well want to look into glandulars and talk to a naturopathic doctor, because your issues may actually be mineral deficiencies or hypothalamus glandulars would solve, or manganese and all sorts of things. I want people to understand, if you're having real serious difficulties, you may need to go down the physical route of going to a naturopathic doctor, and you might need to go to therapy for medicine if things are serious. So we're talking suicidal, we're talking massive addictions, things like that, because that's not the people we take. Like I said, we can take an average girl that's like, a secretary, and she's, doing her thing and just wants to feel at peace and happy and wants to get more in tune and closer to God and have a stronger intuition. We'll take the male cardiac surgeon that just wants to be a better husband. We'll take the millennial that's wants to conquer the world and do great things and is ready to do the work and is not shy of that isn't going to just run away from the pain, who's going to actually face it. But the great thing for people to know is, when you face your demons, when you face your pain, it's like the boogeyman. It's nowhere near as scary as it pretends to be. It pretends to be so scary that most people would rather die than face themselves. When you actually go up there in the attic and you face it, it's literally like a little child Casper the Ghost with a sheet over it. I mean, and this is because it's not that bad. And I'm talking about, again, I've had people that have gone through the worst. I've even had some people that have done some bad things as well. But the reality is once you get more into this, and when you come into the program, we're able to start teaching about, spiritual warfare and good and evil and all those things. You start to have an understanding, but first you have to win the battle within. Then you're able to observe the battle that's taking place outside, and then you can decide what you want to do about the battle outside. If you just want to carry on doing your day job, that's cool. If you're like me and you want to be running at the front of the army screaming, then, you can do that too. But it's up to you. I'm being guided to mention about religion because I think it's important, because I want to talk, I want people to understand, because one of the things people say to me first when I say I'm a spiritual teacher, I'm a spiritual guru, is they start going, oh, is this some weird like Scientology? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is this shit? So my background is I was baptized Catholic as a baby, but I didn't do my first Holy Communion. And in 2018, I was literally told by the voice of God, go get a baptism. And I didn't know what the word meant. And I had to Google it. And I called my friends and I was asking them what the word meant. And God was like, just find out. And so I found a church and I called the church, and the person that answered the phone at the church was the pastor. And I said to the pastor, God told me I need to get baptized. What does that mean? And the pastor said, do you want to meet for lunch? I said, yes, please. And met for lunch. I told them who I was, what I do, how many people I've helped. And 2 weeks later, they baptized me. And I felt like I was walking on air when I left. Now, I haven't been back to the church too much since. I'm still in touch with the pastor. I, in fact, told the pastor that I thought that they should have weekly classes about all the religions on earth, because how do we bring about world peace if we only understand one religion? So I'm all about understanding all of the religions. I've had Muslim women do my program, lots of Jewish women do my program, tons of Catholic women, and absolutely shit tons of Christian. And a lot of people who may be from Europe or from England that are kind of like, well, I'm just not really anything. I'm like, would you believe in a higher power that's good and that's all powerful? They're like, yeah. I'm like, you're good. That's all we need. You know, that's all we need. That's all we need. But it's important because people always ask me that. So what am I? Technically, I'm a Christian, but I'm like the most contemporary, open-minded Christian that talks about dimensions and angels and aliens and all the things. So I'm not a standard normal one.
That's amazing. And that's, you given such a great advices, and it just so many great things that you explained to us that I even wasn't aware, you know, of all these things. Where can our listeners find you, how they can become a part of your program, and all your social handles?
So I'm being told just to close the gap from when I became a rapper and I learned what I learned. So I came into enlightenment, and I really wanted to go wear white and go to an ashram in India and just chill out and be like a spiritual person. But God said, no, go to Atlanta, go be a rapper. I was like, oh, great. So now I've got inner peace. I'm now back in this stuff. So I'm back around that for another few years. And then in, I think, 2018, I was guided, right, it's time to teach now, and you can leave this stuff alone, because I really didn't want to be in the industry anymore. I could tell that a lot of the souls that are involved in it were all in a state of trying to work out whether people were superior or inferior to them. It was always like, are you trying to help me out, or am I helping you out? It was this weird energy. There was not a lot of love. And so I decided to set up my company. And then one of my clients, because I did a lot of in-person clients to start with, one of my first distance clients ended up being Alicia, my CEO, who now runs the company and is the top master coach. So if you want to see a success story, literally, she came in as a client. The first time we spoke on the phone, I told her one day she'd run my company, and now she runs my company. And we're like 4 years in. And so I set up the company, and then from there we've expanded. We now have, we have 4 coaches. She's the lead coach, she's the super coach. We have 3 master coaches, and then we have another 10 in training. And then we have a community underneath that of fully healed women that are all helping to work together. That my plan is to start building healing centers around the world. I am good friends and business partners with Simon Parks, if anyone knows who that is, and I'm good friends with Dr. Charlie Ward, and I'm friends with Kerry Cassidy and Laura Eisenhower. So there's a couple of people that are very, very connected within the truth movement, and as well as within the plan to build healing centers on the planet, which is how we make this world a better place. Anyway, so the ladies that are in that community are the ones that I will have help me with producing and creating these healing centers. So how does somebody come in and work with me? So as I said, we have we have many layers. So the first thing is, if you're in financial difficulty, I suggest booking a 15-minute call. It will be with myself or Alicia. You will fill in the survey questions. It's just some quick questions when you book your free call. The link is in my bio on Instagram. My Instagram is Amelia Happiness Guru. I also have a secondary account, Amelia Love Academy. I suggest you follow both, because the first one is heavily shadow banned. Like, I went from 4,000 views a video to 300. Like, it's crazily shadow banned, because I'm telling all this truth. Like, people are, Instagram doesn't like the truth for whatever reason. And so yeah, 15 minutes. 15 minutes. If you are in a serious financial position, because we have a great heart for people that are suffering, and so we will find a way to help you if you are struggling. If you're in a position to hire a one-to-one coach, you can go for the top level, which is obviously Alicia. We also have our master coaches. There's different pricings and so on. So The things I want to do now, though, is talk about what's free, and also the fact that when you do the call, it's actually a coaching call, so that we are trying to figure out whether we think you can do the program. Because again, it's difficult. And if you can't, we will give you advice and we will point you in another direction. So the things that are free, if you go to amelialoveworld.com, which is my website, you can put your email in there and you can join my webinar list. And before the end of this month, I will be doing a free webinar teaching about how my program works and teaching more about happiness and how to gain permanent happiness. And then those webinars are going to continue on a monthly basis. So you can get on the mailing list to actually go to those webinars to just learn more, and they're free. Okay, so you just go to amelialoveworld.com and stick your email address in, and job done, and you'll find out about it. I'll be doing them at weekends, so it's easy for wherever you are in the time zone. The next thing is when you click the link in the bio on my Instagram, it takes you through to How to Be Happy, which is where you book your free call. It's spelt How to Be Happy, just a letter B, not B-E. And when you scroll to the bottom, there's actually an affirmation track down there, and you can download that for free. And all of my clients do the affirmation track. Now, I mentioned affirmations earlier. They alone will not heal you, but they will assist you in your healing. Sorry, that's my ring hitting the table. Affirmations will assist with your healing, but they won't complete your healing. So don't overestimate their ability, but do not underestimate the fact that they will help you. And if, when you're listening to my affirmation track, if you come across something like, hey, I deserve to feel loved, and you don't feel like you can say it with confidence, it means this is a weak point, in which case you need to write it in lipstick on your mirror and write it on a post-it note and put it on your steering wheel and put it everywhere until you can say it with confidence, because now you're starting to learn how to lean into your wounds. You're starting to be able to identify weaknesses, and instead of pulling away, which is the natural reaction, but actually lean into it and be like, no, I'm going to heal this. I'm going to heal this. So there's free affirmation tracks. You can book a free call, 15 minutes if you're in financial difficulty, book a 45-minute if you think you're going to be in a position to hire a coach. We go really in depth in the 45-minute call because we're trying to match you with the right coach and check that you are actually a fit for the program. And then the other thing I was just being told to say is, you mentioned like anxiety and panic attacks. A lot of that comes from self-doubt, and self-doubt is, again, the ego. So people are not understanding that there is something in there that's trying to make you doubt yourself, doubt your abilities, because, you know, there really is good and evil on this planet. We are at war, not just on the news and the things to do with Ukraine and Russia. We're at war spiritually. There's a battle between light and dark, good and evil. And at this point in history right now, people have to pick a side. And if they try and stay neutral, you'll actually be pulled over to the dark side. Why? Because you've got to stand in your strength now. You've got to say, no, I am going to cleanse my mind, I'm going to clear my trauma, I'm going to heal, and once I've finished healing myself, I'm going to help heal others. And you have got to get into that mind frame now, guys, because just being like, oh, I'm just going to stay neutral over here, it's kind of like, it's a bit weak, really, you know. And again, don't try and help people until you've healed yourself. Don't, they say on the airplanes to put the mask on you before you put it on your kids. Do heal yourself first, because you'll probably run yourself ragged otherwise. But once you've healed yourself, go into mission, join with like-minded people, start doing things to make this world better. And I guarantee we can make this world better. We incarnated down here to make it happen. And I'm going to make it happen or die trying. And we are going to make it happen. It's just, there's just no way it's going to fail. I'm not saying it's not going to be easy, but we're going to make this world a better place, because all people have to do, though, is start with themselves. That's it. Start with themselves. So handles, www.amelialoveworld.com, Amelia, A-M-E-L-I-A, amelialoveworld.com. On there, you can find details about my coaches, my clients, more about me. There's pictures of me with blonde hair, like yourself there, but it's not blonde anymore. But I haven't done a new photo shoot, so I'm blonde still on my pictures. So don't let that throw you off. I normally do my photo shoots in the summer, so I'm waiting till the summer. And then so we've got Amelia Love World for the website. We have howtobehappy.com, spelt with just the letter B, which takes you straight into where you can book your free call. And on there is where the affirmation track that's free is. and then my Instagram, Amelia Happiness Guru, and my backup one, Amelia Love Academy. But I'd really appreciate you guys following the Amelia Love Academy, because if that one becomes more popular, I'll be able to interact without a shadow ban, because the shadow ban is like, it makes my account look really quiet. And it's like, and it used to be super popping. So, the shadow ban just happened because I organized the sound healing for lots of the spiritual teachers on the planet. And so I tagged all of their names. And by tagging all of their names together, I hit something on an algorithm and it just put some kind of thing on my page. But that's all it was. So maybe just, that maybe it will just go away soon. That would be nice.
Thank you so much. It's so powerful and so inspiring. Thank you so much for being my guest and sharing all this information. And I'm sure my listeners got so many takeaways from this. And you guys can definitely join Amelia's program and try it for yourself. I'm still in program and I'm doing it myself too. But I love it so far. And that's my very honest opinion.
And that's what matters, is that, is to speak from the heart. It makes such a difference. So thank you so much for having me on.